So we have our startups meet with a set of customers one-on-one. And let's take a moment to understand why that's important. A lot of people say, well, I would like to send out a survey, or I'd like to conduct focus groups. When you conduct surveys, you build bias into your own questions, and you also don't get very rich information. So for instance, you may ask, what are some of the challenges you're facing in getting your family fed? Well, somebody on your survey, all well-being, will actually write, yep, or not very many, or something along those lines. Not very much information for you to go on, because people are busy. They want to take the minimum amount of time to actually reply to surveys. And furthermore, your questions may actually lead them into a point of bias, whereby you're simply confirming what you already know, and you're not actually garnering any new information. So you may be guiding them down a garden path, and that actually may end up to be a false pathway. So surveys end up not being good. Focus groups also have a problem. You can grab a whole bunch of people, put them in the room, and there's one loud person on the corner that says X, Y, and Z, and the rest of the room goes, absolutely, exactly what he said. That's actually not very helpful information either, and you want to garner as much possible information in your customer discovery process. Those two mechanisms don't really help you that way. So it's important that we conduct these interviews one-on-one. They can be in person, preferably, or over the phone or Skype. When you do that, even if it was just a 15-minute meeting, you're going to get way richer information from your potential customer than you would from any other mechanism. Now, when you're actually conducting the one-on-one customer discovery interview process, it is important that you start with general questions and move towards more specific questions in your interview process. The reason being is we're trying to make sure that we are not supplying an artificial truth to our customers. So for instance, starting in general saying, tell me some of the mechanisms and methodologies or challenges that you face in feeding your family. We're not actually specifically guiding them to pizza delivery or to a product that delivers food to our doorstep or anything along those lines. We're simply trying to go from a more general, and hopefully the customer on their own will start drawing the conclusions that we've already believe are to be true. If not, what we're doing is we're garnering new information which can actually inform our hypotheses. So again, it's most important that we go hypothesis by hypothesis and start with general questions and then move to more specific questions. Now, of course, if a customer doesn't get down the pathway that we think is true, we can also simply assert and get very specific toward the end of our interview process with the customer, so we can get direct feedback on our problem, solution, price, and go-to-market strategy. So the mechanism of testing for our startups is to make a list of 50 customers. And let's be truthful and honest with ourselves when we're making this list. These are the customers that we believe will pay for our product or service, not indirect customers, not influencers, etc. These are people that we believe have the mechanisms and the power to actually make a purchase decision in the sector or space that we're entering into. You make a list of 50 customers, and you should conduct one-on-one interviews with the first 10. After those first 10 interviews, you'll actually pause and then redo your hypotheses. What's going to happen here is you're going to hear new problems, new features of a solution, potentially differential price points, and even different strategies to get to the customer. You may even learn that some of the things that you asserted are not true, in that some of the features of the problem actually don't exist, or the customers don't view them as painful, or that some features that you thought were important in the solution aren't actually that important to the customer. This refinement of our hypotheses is important because we carry that forward into subsequent interviews. So if we hear enough feedback in one direction with regard to any of our hypotheses, we should take that feedback to heart and modify our hypotheses and move forward.